Welcome to the Inside Pitch. I'm Christopher Lockhart, the creator and administrator of this private Facebook group where screenwriters, creators, filmmakers meet to ask and answer questions and exchange ideas and information on the craft and business of movie making. We are coming live from our YouTube channel. By the way, we have lots of other interviews on our YouTube channel, so check them out. The Facebook group has been around, I don't know, maybe almost 15 years. And my co-administrators are Steve Enlow and my co-host of these events. And actually, the guy who's had the brilliant idea to even do these interviews way back during COVID. His name is Ramesh Santanam. And there he is.
There I am. Hey, Chris.
That's him. That's the guy I was just telling you about.
That's me.
That's
the wonder
Ramesh.
of technology.
Here we are. Ramesh. Now, you know, our guest today,
Yes.
I met her, even though she is a wonderful member of the Inside Pitch.
Right.
I met her at your party, at your Christmas party.
That's right. So
And coincidentally, I had just bought her book like a week before.
okay.
And I was like, hey, I'm reading your book. And she was like, yeah. And we started to talk. And I was like, because this whole vertical thing is like nuts. And,
It is, yeah.
And I know nothing about it. I know nothing about it. It has not crossed my path at the hallowed halls of WME, where I am the story editor.
Right.
And and she is the queen of vertical. She's now she can even say that she's written the book.
Right.
So we're going to talk to her. But first, Ramesh,
Yeah.
let's just talk about you. You've got a film that you have co-written with
Frank.
Tremblay.
Yeah.
That is in Dances with Films in
Yes, it premieres next Friday on the 16th
in New York City.
New York City.
Film called Legend Has It.
Yes.
It's getting great reviews. I have seen it, by the way. It is
Oh,
absolutely over the top, fucking ridiculous, but great. So much fun.
Yes.
One of the reviews affectionately referred to it as John Wick with a dildo,
Yes, I know.
and that pretty much describes it.
I know. I hope when I die, my obituary at some point will say he wrote a film that was described as John Wick with a dildo.
Well, you know something? I'll make sure of it.
Exactly, because if it isn't, I'll be very disappointed.
Right. By the way, it's very presumptuous of me to assume that I will be around longer, but you know that's just kind of the way it is.
No, it was a lot of fun to write, and I'm glad.
Now, are you going to go to New York?
No, I'm not.
But those of you who are in New York, go
Yeah.
to Dances with Films. It's called Legend Has It. It's about 20 minutes, the film.
Yeah,
think,
and
right?
it runs. It's on January 16th. I think the block begins at 9:15 p.m.
It'll be the only short film at that festival that you will not sleep through.
So
That I can guarantee.
yes, it was a lot of fun to write.
Good.
We went as outrageous as possible, and the director actually was sort of okay. He was like, first draft we gave him, he was like, I'm in. I was like, okay. So
Well, Ramesh, I didn't know that you had so much experience with dildos. We might have to do an interview with just you.
Actually the director, after the first thing, when he was about to shoot, he's like, dude, I don't have the budget for everything you put in there. So he had to scale it back.
But it looks great.
So
And
yes,
and it moves and it's really silly, but it
is very
fun.
silly. It's a very silly
it's supposed
film.
to be silly. Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
But it's done really well, though. It's done very,
Yes,
very
he's
well.
Thomas, the director. Thomas Lauber is a stuntman and a stunt coordinator, and in fact, he was Oscar Isaac's double in Frankenstein, Del Toro's Frankenstein,
Look at that. All
and
right.
and he is the stunt coordinator on Ready or Not 2 and Violent Night 2, which both come out this year. So he's a
And
good
who
guy.
knows? Maybe Legend Has It could burgeon into its own film franchise. So
Hopefully.
we'll see. But anyway, again, those of you who are
Thank you for the
in New York, go and see it. And we're all very proud and happy for our boy Ramesh.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, so let's just say hello to everybody because it's not just that Steve and Ramesh and I have anything to do with this group. It's really all about our peeps, our members, and we very, very much appreciate them. And I can see Byron is here. What's up, Byron? We interviewed Byron. We've got a really, really great interview with her.
Right.
Heather, I remember Heather from the Glendale days, and just Susan Gonzalez. She's been a very good, happy contributor on the page. Please leave your questions. I see Caroline is here. What's up, Caroline? And we're happy to have you all here. But we're happier to have Isabel here because she's going to fill us all in on this crazy, ridiculous new frontier vertical films or microdramas.
Right, that's what they're being called, aren't they?
Yes, microdramas. So why don't you do the introduction?
Okay, here we go. Sorry, let me pull this up. Isabel Drean is a leading authority in premium vertical storytelling and microdramas, and a produced screenwriter with multiple credits, including 5 Christmas movies produced in just 18 months post-pandemic. Her first vertical series, called Blind Bride, reached #1 on Viglu, followed by When Love Finally Found Me, which launched on Shortswave. Her next series, For Gamma Time, releases in early this year, or it says early 2025, so I guess it released already. A longtime digital innovator, Isabel developed and produced over 50 original series years before short-form storytelling went mainstream. Today, she advises studios, platforms, and producers on platform-native storytelling as the industry rapidly shifts towards phone-first formats. She is the founder of The Hub, a curated global network connecting filmmakers, producers, and financiers. And I'm a member of The Hub. It's a really good group, actually. It's terrific. I've met some wonderful people there. And the author of How to Write a Vertical Series in 10 Days. Released in December of 2025, her book became the number one new release on Amazon for a full month. It hit #1 in 3 screenwriting categories and is widely regarded as the definitive guide to vertical screenwriting. Isabel speaks internationally on vertical storytelling, audience behavior, and how creators and companies can navigate the next evolution of the entertainment business. Isabel, welcome.
I feel unworthy.
I'm like, oh my God.
Here I am writing stories about dildos.
Yes.
And you are in the presence of the queen of verticals, as I like to call her. So welcome to the Inside Pitch, Isabel. Again, you're a longtime member, but welcome to our live forum here. And it's been fun to see you sort of evolve from being sort of the Christmas movie guru that you were, and then sort of somehow or another segueing into this incredibly interesting. And I really do think it's interesting because having read your book on verticals, it's overwhelming to me. It really is. It seems like it's a totally different kind of way to tell stories. It's a little bit intimidating, I think, and so I just have like a trillion questions, so many questions that that I just want to dive right in.
Let's do it.
All right, so can you just define for us what a vertical or microdrama is? Just kind of off the bat.
Yeah. So, and to me, there is a distinction between microdramas and vertical series, actually, and people call them different ways, but I do think so. The microdramas come from China. They've been huge in China for many years. They are the length about of a feature, sometimes double features, but they are in increments of 1 to 2 minutes with cliffhangers and cuts, so people watch them on their phone and they basically swipe up from episode to episode. Some shows in China can have hundreds of episodes. In America, it's mostly 50, around 50 to 80 episodes of 1 to 2 minutes. And it is principally watched on your phone. So
Hence the vertical, because you're watching it in a vertical format rather than
and
horizontal.
vertical series, I think, is more of the format that I'm calling the ones that we're doing here in America vertical series, because we're starting to, change a little bit from the telenovela style, which is most of everything that they do in China, which is very telenovela. And now, as new players, and this industry is evolving in Europe and in America, things are changing a little bit. So I prefer calling them vertical series to differentiate between the telenovela microdramas to, opening doors to other formats or different formulas. Yeah.
Because you're saying that like telenovelas is like a very specific kind of genre. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like the very dramatic romance.
Yes, right.
And as things are progressing, and also the microdramas, they have, if you've watched them, there's a lot of like very problematic themes. The women are not treated very well, and a lot of drug rape and a lot of very problematic storylines. So as it moves to America, a lot of players like myself are speaking out against those storylines. And so I prefer calling them vertical series than the microdramas, to separate that to the new format or the new stories we're telling in the vertical format.
Interesting. And so I'm just trying to get, because I have not even seen one,
Okay.
which may have done prior to this interview, but but I'm always unprepared. So just very quickly, what does a script look like? Does it look like a feature film that is just broken up into 50 to 80 parts, or is it actually just 2 pages each? And
No, the script is like feature or television. You use I use Final Draft, and you put episode or chapter depending on the company you work with, and you put episode, and then the scenes in the episode, and then episode 2. And sometimes, like, I'll give a name to the episode, so episode 1 with the theme, episode 2, and so on and so forth. And it's basically the same as a TV or film screenplay, but at the end of each episode, I usually put, either you put cliffhanger with the cliffhanger, or you bold that section so the people reading, the actors, and the production team know that this is to be highlighted. It's the moment that is going to keep the audience swiping up.
And so these stories, these verticals, they're not on Netflix. They're not on not yet. They're not on Amazon. They have their own distribution platforms, correct?
Yeah, I think now there's about 400 different apps that are carrying microdramas or drama shorts, and they're right now, if you go on Apple App Store, or I don't know what's the other one for the Android, but most of the most downloaded apps, they're all short dramas apps, entertainment apps.
And how does the platform make money? Is it through advertising, or are you paying a subscription to see all of their material, sort of like what was that called? Quibi?
Yeah.
What was it called?
Quibi. Yeah, it was the 10-minute segments. Yeah.
Right.
Quibi were web series, which is a different
web series. Right.
Yes.
Right.
And I had a platform before Quibi in 2010. I launched a streaming platform for curated web series in 2010 in Canada for French Canadian content, and I did that for 5 years. And the problem with web series and Quibi, I mean, we could go on with the what they did wrong and why they didn't succeed, but the problem with web series in 2010, I think there wasn't any business models. You know, it was really hard to make money with, because there was, people hadn't figured out how to make business model with the verticals. The Chinese developed a system with coins, and basically you buy coins to watch shows, and they give you the first 10 episode. So the first 10 episode have to grab you, and engage you in that story. So by the end of episode 10, you want to pay the $20, or the amount of coins that you need to watch the show, because also verticals are not cheap. I just had to pay $40 to watch my own show. But
All right,
like,
so
yeah, usually it's about $20 for a show, or $200 a subscription a year, or you can buy also subscription monthly, but they're more expensive than Netflix, really.
clear. Yes, yes, yes. And well, what do you think that is, because they don't yet have enough people watching them that they need to
There's so many people watching. If you have a successful show, let's say on Real Shorts, if you hit less than 50 million views, it's a flop.
Okay, wow. All right.
So we just one of the writers that took my class had a show on Drama Box, and within 4 days had more than 4 million views. So no,
Wow.
there's a lot of people. A lot of people are watching. But they're making billions. The industry right now is about 8 billion. They're saying by the next 2 years it's going to be 17 billion. There's a lot of money into vertical. This is why the difference between web series and vertical series is that we could never find a good business model for web series. But now with verticals, there are multiple options, multiple business models. Sponsors. Maybelline just sponsored a holiday vertical series with actual like TV stars, and they paid for it, and it was free for the audience, but it was sponsored by Maybelline.
Right.
There's TikTok now is also has just created a segment where you can put your vertical series there, so you could make revenue with views. YouTube is going to be doing the same. So there's independent distribution. And then there's, of course, if you're a producer, you can license. They also sometimes you can watch by watching ads. So if you watch enough ads, you can, they give you 2 more episodes and you watch ads. So sometimes people that don't want to pay, it may take them a month to watch their show, or like 2 weeks to watch the whole show by watching advertisements.
And so, since you brought up money,
Yeah.
let's and again, as I warned you before we got going, I'm just jumping all over the place.
That's okay.
All right, so let's talk about money, because clearly these platforms are raking it in. So let's say that I have a vertical and I sell my vertical. Do I sell it to a producer who then in turn sells it to one of these platforms, and then the platform finances it, or does the producer make it himself and then license it to the platform? Is it a little bit of both? Or and then of course the big question is, as the writer, how much am I getting paid?
Yeah. So right now the most the model that is the most common situation is that the apps are going to hire a service producer, and they have service producers all over the world who will, they get a bidding, between 2 or 3 producers. The one that wins the bid gets the job, and basically takes the script. They get the script.
By the way, like that's the way Netflix does it too, you know, for like a lot of their stuff. So it's not anything that's all
No,
that
exactly. So
unique. Yeah.
the budget for vertical series is that's where things that things get a little bit more difficult. Is that the budgets are usually around $150,000 for a script that can be anywhere between 70 pages to 90 pages.
Wait a minute. You're saying the budget to produce
Yes.
the entire vertical is $150,000.
Yes.
So it's not $150 million, or it isn't even like so at $150,000 investment, and you know, 50 million people are watching these and paying $20 a pop, it's quite the thing. So now, does the writer get a chunk of that of those 50 billion watches? No. Or are they just getting like a flat fee for their script?
No, it's a flat fee. There's no right now. There's no back end in general. I have heard that someone's getting back end, but I think it's going to come. You know, when I started in vertical in February 2025. So my show on Gamma Time is coming this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. Sorry about that. Yeah. So.
Yeah. But things change very quickly. Like in February, the salary for writers were literally like $1,000 to $2,000 for a 90-page script. I wouldn't work for that, but you know, they had to pay me.
But so
yes.
But so somebody like me, first timer, I might get $2,000 for my script.
Well, that was in February. Right now, the average salary is around $5,000.
Okay.
So
Okay. So I'm getting $5,000.
Mhm.
But your book says that you can write a vertical in 10 days.
Yes, I write them in 3 or 4. Yes.
So if you can do in 3 or 4 days, and you know you're making, and you're actually able to sell them all, then okay, then you know that's not such a bad way to make a living. Although you're definitely working your ass off.
It's in the numbers, right? It's in the numbers. I mean, some writers, you can do 10, 15, 20 shows in a year. So at $5,000 a pop, you make a living. And I write them. The last one I just did for Gamma with the whole, I mean, I signed the contract on December 17, and they're actually shooting in England next week. So I delivered, I think it was like a 5-day process from the log line. They gave me the log line. So this is a screenwriter for hire industry.
Right. Okay.
Most specs don't sell. Usually you only have you show your first 10 episode as a spec to show that you understand the format. And most people right now in America, there's not a lot of writers that know the format. Most of the writers working, a lot of them come from my masterclass or my incubator because I've trained them. But so this is new, you know, kind of new in America. So you know, it's a great opportunity for people to learn this format. But so they hire you, they pay you $5,000, you write them over a week. And, you know, 10 days is really, I mean, I don't use the 10 days. 10 days is, I think most people can do it in 10 days. But if I'm making $5,000 in 5 days, is a good deal. You know, and I'm working as a writer to pay my bills.
But Isabel, coming up with 50 to 80 cliffhangers is not easy.
No, it's not easy. Yes.
It isn't easy. So, all right. So you spoke about format. Let's talk a little bit about the format. Your book goes into a great detail on this. And, but so can you just maybe give us a little bit of an idea of sort of what the format looks like?
Well, basically, I mean, and every app is a little different. So they'll, you know, so they'll give you, usually they give you a log line, and they'll give you the specs. So it'll be 1.5 minutes or to 2 minutes, or 1 minute to 1.5 minutes. So some are faster than others. And they will say we need 50 episodes, 70 pages. so this is what I just got: 70 pages, 50 episodes. So when you're writing, you kind of have to know, like, okay, I'm not doing more than, you have to really be economical in
Yeah.
your action lines, and people, the attention span, they say like the first 3 to 5 seconds is where you have to grab people's attention. Otherwise they go and they move on to another show. So
And how do you do that? So, I mean, again, it's like you don't have a lot of real estate to sort
no,
of do
no, you
all
don't.
this
You have
stuff.
3 5 seconds. Like right now, I'm giving an incubator, and it's really about trying to teach the writers that first scene, that first image. If you take like your inciting incident, in a movie, you'll write like 10, 15 pages. You'll have your inciting incident. It's kind of like going at the heart of your inciting incident, cutting it in half, and coming up with an image or a scene where you, after the scene, kind of understand who's who, what's happening, and what's at stake. And I mean, it's like it's a roller coaster ride. Like it's usually very entertaining. The stakes are high. It's life and death kind of thing, and
It sounds like you're actually opening up your pages with your inciting incident almost.
and not even like at the beginning of the inciting incident, like right in the middle of it. So often I will pick the most chaotic and the most like dramatic moment of the story and start with that.
Wow. And
Yes.
and are these stories, are they is the format amenable to using flashbacks and
Yes.
complicated structures?
Yeah.
Yes.
Flashbacks, flash forward, and also one thing that is very different from any other format is the voiceover. Sometimes you can use that, you can hear people think. So you can have, like, that a lot of the rules that we have learned to never break in other format, you can break in verticals. Like, so you can sometimes exposition, I try to do at least as possible, but if you watch them, a lot of people use exposition, and it'll be like, oh my god, I didn't think this guy would be so hot, or something like
Right. Yeah.
la, la.
Right. Yeah. Just sometimes on the nose, just gets it done.
It gets it done. Yes.
Right.
Gets it done.
And so when you are putting a story together, what are the things that you have to consider? So they're giving you the pitch. They're giving you the log line.
Very like very basic log line. And then you have to come up with your take on that. So usually the first step will be, okay, this is what I want to do with this. Then they'll approve. Usually you'll write the first the paywall all the way to the paywall, meaning either 8 or 10 episodes. So usually the way that I construct, I find that first image to like grab the attention, and then I go cliffhanger episode, the paywall cliffhanger. What's going to be the moment that's going to make them pay to see the rest? For example, in The Blind Bride of the Scarred Mafia Boss, which is my show, did not pick the title. They usually have crazy titles. It's this woman who has to marry this mafia guy, and she's blind. And of course, at the end of the episode 10, the audience finds out that she's not blind. So it's like a big cliffhanger, because everything has
Good,
related
yeah.
on, based. So in the last episode, she looks at the guy and she goes, wow, not bad. He's in the shower, she's looking at him, and now we find out that she's not blind. And that's the cliffhanger. So now people want to know, okay, now that we know she's not blind,
Like,
what's
why?
what's gonna
Like,
happen?
why? What's going on?
Exactly.
Right,
And of
yeah.
course, just before that moment, there's a little bit of romance between the two. And now we know she's betrayed him. So she's lying. So what's gonna happen? And it's always that. So the first moment, the cliffhanger, paywall, and then of course, where is the story ending? A lot of the producers right now, this is a thing, after the paywall, many of the companies don't care what happens next. So that you have a lot more freedom after the paywall,
Really?
because they
Okay.
really care about, especially if you're dealing with the Chinese apps, they really care about that first 10. If once the people pay, they really don't care about the rest. But one of my strengths is my shows actually make sense until the end, and very few verticals right now make sense until the end. And but the audience is already getting more demanding, more, better quality. So the quality is rising fast. The stories are getting better fast. The writers are getting better quickly. So the landscape is changing constantly, and this is where I'm excited about. I'm not looking at the Chinese stuff. I don't necessarily want to do that. I'm looking at people. I'm working with Gamma Time right now, which is the Bill Block, the ex CEO of Miramax company. They want to do different. They want to do quality. I think they want to become the Netflix of the verticals in the future. So so this is where I'm looking at what can we do with verticals? How can we use that? Because we all know, like, the movie business is struggling to get an audience. So how do we get this is we have the audience have their phone. How do we grab the audience to tell better stories, and maybe even find a way to use that to bring them to cinema? I don't know, like, there's a lot of business models that I want to explore, that I'm excited about. You can see the verticals for what it is now, or you can see what the verticals are going to be in 5 years. And if you look at evolution of movies, from silent movies to where we are now, to television, from the soap operas and the miniseries in the 80s, or to what we are now, things evolve, stories get better, to the ways of telling stories. And I find this format is you're telling a story for one person, because people watch it solo. So it's very intimate, and you get millions of eyeballs on your story. So I'm very excited to where it comes. And it doesn't compete against cinema, it doesn't compete against television. It's just one other way to tell stories.
Right, because we know that there are critics, there are people who say these things are terrible, like the storytelling is awful, the acting is horrific,
Yeah.
production value is garbage. And then on the flip side, you've got people, not the flip side, but then you also have people like Rick Klein in The Inside Pitch, where he kind of went after it and said, that it was like the Antichrist or something like that. When I think that you have just covered both of those, which is that sure, like a lot of this stuff was bad in the beginning, but yet, like, give it time, it's going to get better as the form becomes more familiar with audiences, more familiar with the creators, more familiar with the producers. This is kind of like walking on the moon in some ways.
But you have to be a visionary. The thing is, some people, I see people talk about verticals and only what they're seeing, like what they were doing 3 years ago. I like to think that I think there's so much potential. It's a new format. It's not going to go anywhere. People have their phone. People want entertainment. People are watching whatever they are watching. So you have a choice. Are they going to be watching your story, or are they going to be watching somebody else's? And I also find that people don't talk about the survival of the artist. I'm sorry, but how the fuck are we paying our rent? And honestly, I saw, verticals. I'm like, oh, they hire, like, often by twos or threes or 10. You can get a slate of 10. Like, that's enough money to pay for your rent for the whole year, for your family. Like, that is an aspect also that is not, to be, lifting your nose and go, oh, they're shit. a lot of writers, a lot of directors, a lot of people are struggling in LA, and the verticals actually helped people survive in the last year or so. So,
It's putting people to work.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's giving people jobs, and anybody who's in the industry should be supportive of that. It's not AI where it could be taking jobs away from creatives.
Yeah.
This is just offering another opportunity. And then if you don't want to do it, then
and don't.
do it. Yeah.
But, and also right now, like we know Hollywood's closed their doors. Nobody wants to, read your script. Nobody want all the doors.
I don't want to read your
You
script.
don't want to read my script. Do you?
So, no.
No, but
I will say this though, I did read one of her scripts.
yes, you did. Thank
And
you.
Oh,
it's really good.
Yes.
It's really good.
Let's not talk about the concept.
No,
Yes.
not at all. But it was. I
Yes.
was like, I was like, oh, fine.
Yes.
Will you read your script? Sure, I'll read it. And I was like,
Yes.
holy shit, this is good.
Yes,
So,
Ramesh read of one of my features, High
so
Concept Christmas. But the thing is, it's like nobody wants to read your script, and all the doors are closed. And right now, in the vertical space, the bottleneck that I talk to all the apps and the producer, the bottleneck is the lack of writers who understand this format. So as writers, if you don't understand the opportunity that is out there for you, I mean, I can spell it out. I've spelled it out in a whole book for you that it is an opportunity. I'm a single mom, and I in 2022 I had the opportunity of making Christmas movies, and I was like, oh, it's actually easier to get into that space. And I've been teaching, mentoring writers and encouraging writers to go into that space because it was an easier way to get in, and you can make a living. Now with Hallmark's thing, and the Christmas space has kind of shrunk. Where do we go? How do we make money? And I saw this opportunity, and right away I'm like, this is something that writers can learn. It is not that easy. It's not just cutting a movie. You have to write it. It's not written like a movie. You don't take a movie and make a TV show. You don't, like you have to rewrite it. So it's a new format, new way of writing, but it's not, it doesn't go against anything. It's just adding one thing. But it's a fabulous opportunity. I mean, I've been produced for 5 years, but I'm not at CAA. I'm not at your agency, not yet. But the thing is right now I'm one of the top 3 writers in the vertical space. In the span of a year, I'm working for the top company. Gamma Time is like one of, there's a few American companies, and I can talk to anyone. I can talk to all the producers, all the apps. I mean, it's quite of a incredible opportunity. And there's not a lot of really name writers at this moment in this space. I'm one of them. There's a couple, but I mean, what an incredible time to be.
Yeah. It's ground floor. It's ground floor for writers.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you say that you don't have an agent for verticals, and my guess is that as long as writers are getting paid $5,000 a script, it's unlikely that
there are actually managers now looking for writers. Many.
Yeah. I mean, like I would say, I don't know for a fact, but I would say here at my agency, I haven't seen or heard any talk about it yet.
Yeah.
But again, I think like at the bigger agencies, getting 10% out of $5,000, just that's sort of like that like an agent at CAA cannot survive there on that business model. But there could be managers breaking in who might know that
big
space.
Managers that are looking to bring writers in, because like right now the IP, if you make a show for an app, the app owns your IP. But so you basically, you can't give your babies, right? You're writing, right. You give it to them.
But that's the same thing if you sell a spec script to a studio. It doesn't belong to you anymore. You know, you're selling your baby.
Yeah,
It's
but you
no
still
different.
have the, like, you know, you'll have residuals or you'll have something back end. Right now it's but even in the Christmas space, you know, the movies that I've made, I sold the specs, it's over.
You're
I
done.
don't
Yeah.
have anything. But it's also an opportunity to develop IPs. You know, there's a lot of independent stuff that I see coming. And the guy who wrote the guy who writes CSI just did a show for Gamma. And now the WGA, I mean, I'm telling you, the conversation in the WGA
But by
about,
the way, that guy's not getting $5,000.
oh no, he's not.
Yeah. Okay. All right, all right.
Yes.
Just to clear that. But yes, go ahead. Tell us about the WGA.
Yeah, the WGAs are taught. I mean, it's jobs. A lot of writing jobs. Just Real Short alone are going to do, their goal is to do 300 shows this year.
Wow. All
One
right, a lot.
There's
Yeah.
400 apps. There is so much work, you know. I started my incubator in August. I did one in August, one in September, one in December, just started one, 12 writers at a time. And almost like 40% of my writers are already working. So like there's jobs, you know, and
Right.
one of my writer, Allison Bunn, has a one
She's
show.
here today and
Hey,
she's in
is she?
conversation.
Yeah, Allison
Right.
Bunn is like has a show coming like that's doing super well on my drama, and she took my incubator in September. It's like, you see, it goes really, really fast, and
Yeah,
I know
obviously.
now I'm sure everybody's knocking on her door because her show's fabulous.
Everybody's going to be knocking on your door for your incubator. That's where you really make your money. You really make your money in your incubator.
Yes, exactly.
But so, all right. So look, you know, you said earlier that you're not really writing specs for this.
Yeah, you have to write a couple samples to show that you can do it.
But that would be scenes, just a couple of scenes.
No, the first 10 episodes. The first 10 episodes. Yeah, because again, it's the paywall.
Up to the paywall.
The paywall.
All right.
And so that's like what, 20 pages?
Yeah, 15 to 20.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But still, though, you know, it's broken down into all of those individual scenes with cliffhangers.
Yes.
So, you know,
and a lot of apps are actually, when you apply for jobs like Drama Box, they make you, they test you. So they give you a prompt and you have to write, which I kind of am against, to make writers work for free. But you know, you have to do the test. If you haven't been produced, you have to do a test and you have to show that you can actually do that. Because, you know, a lot of people go, oh, I wrote like 20, 100 scripts. That doesn't matter in the vertical space. You know, it really doesn't. It's like
it's an even playing field.
Vertical produced, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They don't care that you have an Oscar.
They don't care.
have you written a vertical? All right. So can you just sort of take us maybe through those steps? So, okay, I've written the first 10 episodes of my vertical.
Yes.
So now what do I do with it?
Well, there's a couple ways. The best ways to network is, there's a couple groups on WhatsApp. One is mine, the hub for verticals, and there's another called Club 916 by this guy Tom Woodley, and there's like about 200 members on each, and a lot that's the community. And the thing is, the community of the verticals, I think a lot of people that are joining this community are, you know, the resilient, you know, the people that come from the indie world, where they're, you know, wanted to do the work and they want to create and they want to tell stories. So there's a huge enthusiasm and kindness and support from the community that I really love. Everybody's helping each other. Okay, what app? Oh, this test. Oh, did you do, you know, like really helping each other, trying to get the jobs, because usually when they hire writers, they hire multiple at once, you know. And so the WhatsApp and LinkedIn, if you want to write verticals, you put, you know, in your profile, you know, vertical microdrama, so they can find you with the keywords, and you put it out there. You know, I wrote a sample, and then you start adding everybody that has vertical and microdrama, you know, you connect with. And I mean, I'll tell you, my LinkedIn is only people in microdramas and verticals. You know, that's all I see now. I have everyone there, but people on the microdrama and verticals are very active, posting, commenting. So we kind of now know, we like, it's quite easy to know everyone that is big players.
Can I go to any of these apps to see sort of the kind of content? Can I reach out to executives? Can I send query letters? Can I do that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and people are open because they're looking for writers. That's what I'm talking about. It's like finally a side of the industry with open doors. Not to say that it's easy, because you do have to understand the format. Like, if you don't understand cliffhangers and you're not able to identify, and I think that's the biggest learning curve, the cliffhangers. But I'm sorry for the plug, but in my book, every chapter gives like a little homework. Can I show my book?
Yeah, of course.
This is the book, How to Write a Vertical Series in 10 Days. So every chapter has a homework to do. So I take everyone, the first one is download some apps and start watching, so that's the first step. And then of course, watch my show. I use my show, The Blind Bride, as a case study. So to show, because right now, I would say my show is definitely one of the best written show in the vertical world. So now there's.
And where can we see that again?
It's on Viglu. It's an app.
Viglu.
It's a Korean app called Viglu, Vigloo. And you can watch the first 10 episodes for free, and that gives you really how it's done, like how you use cliffhangers, because the cliffhangers have to kind of have a variety. Is it a twist? Is it an emotion? Is it a revelation? Is it and sometimes it's like just a full scene cut at the wrong place. That's also a way to make a cliffhanger, because it's like,
you're cheating a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, that's a really good one, actually, because it's like, if you cut, we're so used to having cuts placed at a certain moment, from television and movies, that when the cut is at the wrong place, like, oh, where's the rest of the scene? So then, you might not use that one as a paywall cliffhanger, but it's a good one to, if you're running out of ideas of what to do for your 50, you can use those for a couple of them.
So then when you're plotting out your story, my guess is that unlike a lot of writers who may not want to outline, and they just want to they want to allow the story to take them to its own natural destination. Is there time and place for that kind of creativity here, or you really need to think out that plot line and those cliffhangers?
Yeah, outlining is absolutely essential, and actually, in a lot of companies, you write the first 10, and then you'll write an outline, and you'll submit the outline to be approved.
The outline for the rest of the series after the paywall.
Yes. So to make sure that your vision, is what they want, and then they'll give notes on the outline, and then once the outline has been approved, then you can script the rest of the series.
So there is a little bit of a development process, much like you would get anywhere else. You're not just writing it and leaving, or are they bringing in other writers to rewrite you?
No, that would not happen to me, but yes, but sometimes.
Well, not you, but let's say me. Yes, it's my first time.
It does happen. I was approached this week. I was approached this week to rewrite somebody else. Yes, it happens.
And what kind of pay would somebody get for that?
I think and I turned it down because it's half of the money, but it's more work.
Yeah.
Fixing a broken house is more work than building it from the ground up. So
yeah. Interesting. All right. So there's still a lot of the old Hollywood stuff there. So it's doing something new, but it's still doing it in a familiar way also.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically being a screenwriter for hire. You go through the process, and
which, by the way, is the way the majority of screenwriters actually earn a living. Most screenwriters don't earn a living selling specs. They almost never have. There's a handful, but sure, Shane Black, but,
Yeah.
but like these guys are like 1 in a trillion.
Yes, exactly. And then, sometimes like all verticals, it's like, well, of course we would love to all have Shane Black's career, but like sometimes we don't choose. I was a horror writer. I wanted to be a horror writer. I ended up writing Christmas movies. And you can have a choice to say yes or no, but I'm a single mom. I need to pay my bills, and honestly, I enjoy it. And writing verticals is actually super fun because it's problem solving. It's a puzzle, and that finding the 50 cliffhangers. And to answer your question, usually I build the story from the cliffhangers. I find the cliffhangers first, and then I reverse. So it's
You reverse engineer. So
Yes.
so you're like brainstorming possible cliffhangers for the story.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is great. How do I make it work? This is great. How do I make it work?
And this is great. How can it be even crazier and crazier and crazier? And try to, and making them as surprising and crazy as possible. And then I make it work. Then I just go back 1.5 page and I make sure, and also like kind of a domino effect, right?
Yeah,
Like
I was going to ask you about that because your book goes into that quite a bit.
Yeah.
So the cause and effect element in it is very, very important.
Very, because you want to keep the engine, right? What's happening? So this happens, then it creates something, and then that creates something else, and that cliffhanger creates something else, and that's how you feel an engine. Otherwise, they're just puppets talking.
So in regard to, let's say, like classic dramatic structure, right? Where let's look at a 120-page feature screenplay. By page 30, give or take, your character has a goal and they're off on their mission, right? So it's roughly the 30-minute mark that Dorothy sets foot on the yellow brick road to get to Oz to convince the wizard to send her back to Kansas. If you were going to adapt the Wizard of Oz to a vertical, what would you do?
Well, I would have the house crush the witch in the first 3 seconds.
Okay, really
Right?
interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, something big like this. And then,
Mhm. And
sometimes you can go back in time as well. You can start from there and then go back. And then obviously at the end of the paywall, she would have the shoes on and, take off on the road, like, and it could even be even more than this, like maybe she meets the first, like you have to have something at the end of episode 10 that is the end of act 1. So what is the end of act 1 for Wizard of Oz is when she finally starts moving on the yellow brick road. So that would be that moment. Yeah.
interesting. All right.
So it's like, so in 15 minutes you go from, well, the inciting incident is, first 10 seconds instead of first 10 pages.
Mhm.
And your end of act 1 is at the end of the episode 10, which is about 18 pages, 15 minutes instead of 30. So things are much faster.
Wow. Yeah. So so writers definitely need to sort of think about the story in a slightly different structural way. I mean, you're still going to have a lot of the same sort of dramatic beats, like the end of the first act, midpoint. What about like the end of the second act, low point for the character?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think in terms of acts really. I just know, I mean, like, I have the structure in my head so much that, I don't think like that. I just know, okay, usually what I'll do the first 10 and then I'll go to the end and I'll do my last 10 and I'll know where the story needs to go. and then then I just have to, depending on how many episodes, I just have to fill that, and so from the end, 10 episode, that would be the low point, right? And the resolution starts to happen where that character makes a decision, or the dilemma, or the low point of like, okay, how do I put everything back in peace, right? Like everything's broken, how do I put it back together? And then I just have to fill up that middle part with
Stuff.
entertainment.
With
Yes.
stuff.
And steam, and usually in the middle you'll have like some steam if it's a romance and things like this, but
And what kind of genres are popular?
That is one.
yeah. So right now, steamy romance is the very, like, enemies to lover is a very popular one. I'm hearing about horror coming into the space. I know that there's a couple horror apps that are gonna come by May, like surround like spring. So I'm very excited about that.
I mean, horror seems like it would
be perfect.
lend itself to
So-
thrillers also.
Yeah.
Is the
Thriller.
issue that the fact that romance stories, just judging by the titles of the stuff you wrote, I kind of figured they're romance.
Yeah, they're romance. Yeah.
Is it because they're easier to shoot as opposed to horror? You might need effects and stuff like that.
No,
or
I think it's the audience right now.
Is it?
The
Okay.
audience that's there now are mostly women,
Okay.
20 years old to 55. I think that's what they're saying. I think there's men watch romance as well. But for me, like a lot of the apps that are there, people are watching at like the tip of the iceberg of what the audience is. Everyone has a phone. And I think now other apps are going to come, horror apps are going to come. Gamma Time wants to do more, like they've been very open to say that they've started doing true crime, which is true crime. They're using true stories and remaking them into like kind of a narrative.
Like Netflix is doing. Yeah.
Right.
Narrative. They're doing that, and they're doing really well with that. But I know that they have intention of bringing in horror. And I talked to 2 apps that are going to do men content. Some, of course, want to do all AI filmmaking, which they can do, and some animated, and maybe some I'm hearing maybe other things that, well, I mean, take the whole industry and look at all the genres. There's an audience for all these genres, and I just finished a contract with Disney, actually, with 2020, and we're testing to convert 2020 into a vertical vertical series.
What is 2020? I'm sorry, I'm a little.
ABC News.
Oh, okay,
Oh.
sure, of course. Okay,
Yes.
yes.
So I came in as a consultant, and but there's definitely like different, I think true crime is perfect for this as well, because people are watching the verticals alone, in their bed, in the bus, in the, like it's something that it's, you don't want to think, right? It's not like, but I can see multiple genre.
Is the idea to true crime dramatize them, or just sort of in documentary form?
Documentary. Yeah, Gamma Time, they're doing narrative, and
Okay.
then, but
Someone
it's
here,
people on
so-
their apps.
someone here asked, what are the 5 most popular platforms for this right now?
The most popular platforms right now are Real Shorts, Drama, Box, My Drama. There's so many. Viglu is one of them, is a big one. Candy Jar is also a popular one. I think Gamma Time has definitely taken.
Okay.
People are paying attention. Fox now also made a deal with My Drama. So Fox bought Holy Water from Ukraine, and Fox is producing is producing verticals.
Okay.
So that's what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
Disney just invested. They came out with an article this week that they're going into verticals, and Netflix and Amazon are testing verticals in India. So that's why you were like, oh, it's not on Netflix for now.
Yeah.
So how do the studios do it though? Because the studios are all, they're all signatory.
They're bound by
affiliated.
the WGA.
Yes. So how does that work? I mean, like I know that Amazon, because you know why? Because maybe they contracted out to non-SIGs. So if it's not being
So
made,
the producer and then
perhaps,
I don't know how they're going to do. But what I predicted everything I predicted in May. I have a free webinar that I help people figure out what this is, and I've predicted everything I've predicted in May is happening, and even faster. Everybody's going to be involved in verticals somehow.
So now you're not just the queen of verticals, you're the Nostradamus
Thomas of verticals.
of verticals.
Yes, exactly. No, but it's obvious. I'll tell you why it's obvious. Billions of dollars.
Right.
So,
There's billions
If
of dollars.
if it's making money,
I don't have to be a psychic. I just have to understand. There's
just follow the money. Follow the money.
All the big players will want a part of it.
Right. Absolutely.
are most of these out of Asia?
No, I mean now they're doing them in Canada, in Europe, in Ukraine, everywhere. But a lot of apps are owned by Asian partners.
Right. Okay, that's what I.
But from what I'm hearing, all the actors in LA, that's the only job available right now are verticals, and some of them are a SAG now. Their SAG has moved very quickly into this and are letting their actors.
I know plenty of SAG actors who are working in these, and I'm assuming that they're
and I WGA writers as well, but maybe under different names, because there's no credits on the show. So if you don't put your name on IMDb and you don't advertise it, nobody really knows who's writing what.
Interesting. But the time will come when there'll be credits, probably.
I'm not suggesting that people are breaking, their
certainly
not doing that. But
it's just like people didn't write during the strike.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. By the way, I'm seeing a lot of questions, but we've answered a lot of these.
Yeah, we have.
I don't see the questions.
But it depends on where you are, because in one section I didn't see the questions, then I went and sort of relogged, and then I saw the questions. So it's
I don't see the questions.
Is there by the way, I can actually put them on the stream. Watch this.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Oh, there we are.
Oh,
look.
yes. Oh, that's right. Okay, now I see.
Look at that, Ramesh.
There we go. Technology.
Come on. Nothing but the best here at the Inside Pitch. Are you kidding me?
We are being dragged into the 19th century, damn it. No.
Yes.
I didn't even know until about 5 minutes before we started the stream that I could do this. I don't know if this is a new feature that they just added, or I had never seen it. Yes, SAG has vertical minimums.
Did she write her page, her book, release the book one page at a time? Actually, it's funny because people say the book reads like a vertical, because it's really, there's a lot of white on the page. You can actually scroll through it very quickly.
But I got to tell you though, it's a little intimidating. It is. I find this whole thing to be very, very intimidating, because you really do look, storytelling is all the same, but the format is definitely different. Again, if Isabel were going to rewrite The Wizard of Oz for a vertical, she'd open with the house falling on the witch, which I think is a great answer. And so that really gives you an idea as to how different the format is. So just very quickly, because this was supposed to be my first question to you, and I think that we did answer it, but just generally speaking, what is the difference between a vertical and a TV series and a screenplay?
Well, I mean, it's first of all, there's a rhythm, right? I mean, people say like a feature, like television is a character driven format, right? Well, and feature, I would say, is the director. The director is the lead in a feature, but for vertical, the audience dictates what, if your story is not working, you're out, you're never gonna, they're not gonna watch. So it is an audience format for sure. The audience is king in
It's
this. Yeah.
interesting, because the old expression goes that TV belongs to the writers,
Yes, exactly. Yes,
Right.
features belong to the
exactly.
directors,
Exactly. Yes.
theater belongs to the actors,
Right.
and vertical belongs to the
Audience.
audience. So
Yes,
now you add
exactly.
that,
Thank you. Okay, now
which
I will
is
remember next
interesting.
time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Christopher.
Yeah, no, but that's really interesting. I think that is a very good way, even though everybody should always be writing for the
And for the
audience.
right.
But here, especially in an article that I read this morning, that's sort of like the metrics and sort of like all of that stuff. Like they're really looking at what the audience is doing
Oh,
here.
there's like the psychological studies, of like behaviors on phones and how do people react when they say like like a few months ago I was hearing 5 seconds. Now they're saying 3 seconds.
3 seconds in
3 seconds
regards to
grab
grab the
your
audience.
audience or they're out. And I mean, think about it. I don't know if any of you are on TikTok, but I'm on TikTok and it takes me 2 seconds to know if I'm watching a video or not. And so it's the same. And honestly, I don't watch them a lot, but when I watch them, I'm like, nope, nope, nope,
Right,
nope,
right.
nope. Like it's really hard to grab at people's attention now.
It's a variation of the you have to grab a reader by the first 10 pages or first 5 pages sort of concept,
Or
really
maybe one now.
right
Yeah.
now scrunched down is what it is. Even the whole idea of you writing the first 10 episodes, let's say 15 pages, before they realize, oh, she can write, or the
Yeah.
story can move forward. It's if you quit there, it's that sort of that similar
Well, I
concept.
mean, this is the whole thing about being hired. If you can't land that paywall, convince them that people won't sign out after
Yeah.
10, then this is where you get a job. That's where the
Yeah.
Someone here asked, has Isabel been involved with a totally independent vertical production from the ground up as opposed to being hired by established producers? Is it too risky to produce yourself?
Well, that's the thing. Some people are doing proof of concept. I'm pitching actually a slate of 5 horror projects right now. So we're looking for $1.5 million with a
For
different
total, for all 5
yeah,
total? Okay.
five. Yeah. So yes, I do want to do an independent. That's definitely one of my goals. But of course, I'm not. I'm not putting my own money, so I have to find somebody that's willing to take a risk. But I think the pay, if my plan of this business model works, the payoff could be very lucrative. But right now there's people that are going to have to take risk, like, I mean, like, for example, Maybelline took a risk by putting their advertising into a vertical this year, and I'm surprised nobody did it before Christmas. But it takes
Yeah.
time. Like, people are feel like Christopher, like, what is this, what are we doing, like. So by the time, that's why it's important to let people know, okay, this is what it is. And there's money there,
Right.
there's money and there's opportunities. But I know that some people get together and they shoot like 10 episodes, as a proof of concept. It's a lot easier to shoot a proof of concept with this than I would say with anything else.
Do your stories, like, do the stories are they all contained to, like, for the lack of a better word, one season, or is it like a, the next time you do it, it's the continuation of the story, or do they all like sort of end after like 50 episodes?
Right now, most of them are one of, but I'm
Okay.
seeing now, because time is passing. So
Right.
I'm seeing that some shows that did really, really well are getting a second season.
Okay.
Somebody's asking an interesting question. Let's say that my vertical is The Wizard of Oz, not written by L. Frank, that I am the creator, let's
Yes,
just pretend as an example.
yes.
And so that is turned into a vertical. Can I then take that story and sell it as a feature somewhere?
Not if you sell it to an app. No, because then you lose your IP. And this is why, if you have a great concept, it's a good idea to try to produce it independently,
Right.
especially now TikTok is putting a system where you can actually have verticals. Because the problem, if you put it on TikTok, they're not going to be in order. They're going to be, but now they're doing a vertical segment. There's going to be a vertical segment on TikTok, and YouTube also are going to have, systems to distribute independently verticals. And just these two shifts from these two companies should tell you how major this is, because they're, to do something like this, it takes a lot of investment. It takes a lot of, so these companies are betting that verticals are not a fad. It's not a trend.
Right.
It's actually going to be something that is going to be part of the entertainment industry now, and it's not going anywhere.
So what would be the benefit? Let's just so let's say that I were to produce my own vertical independently. And then I can potentially sell it to Vigloo or one of these places, or license it to them. And what
Yeah.
kind of money would I get? Would it just be better for me just to produce a feature film? You know?
Well, I mean, we know how, I mean, a lot of people have produced
Yeah,
independent films that no one ever see.
100%.
So right
100%.
now people are watching verticals. I think it's a lot easier to reach an audience now. If I had a horror film, for example, I would definitely do a vertical instead of doing a micro budget,
Right.
and
But
and,
you
and
still
build
have
it.
to, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you still have to sort of push through to the distributors, right? I mean, it's a different distribution model,
Well,
but
if
if
you
you're
do it independently, then you're your own distributor, right?
so how would I distribute a vertical?
Then, I mean, if you do it independently, well,
Yeah,
you could always
how would
go
I
to
do that?
apps and do like licensing. Some apps do licensing. I hear the licensing is very low, probably
Mhm.
even less than the writer's fee. And so you wouldn't gain back your 150,000 or whatever.
Right.
Um, but if you did, distribute on TikTok and became a content, the join the content creators fund, and on YouTube they have subscription, and they have a pay per play system. So you could give the first 10 episode the same way that everywhere does, and then bring people to the pay per play, uh, YouTube channel. I mean, I know somebody who did a similar, it wasn't a vertical, but it was a similar model with an Indian romance on YouTube, and they sold, I think, 10 million $1 play. So, I mean, it's not, vertical is at $150,000, is not that much. You don't have to get that much people in to get your money back or to make money. If you get a hit, the thing is, if you don't get a hit, you'll probably never see your money again. But that is a reality that happens in movies all
Correct.
the time.
Correct.
But if you have a hit, you can make a lot of money, because these verticals are seen by millions of people. I repeat, Real Short says that if a show is seen less than 50,000 times, it's a flop. It's millions. Most of these shows have hundreds of millions of views. When do you get to say that your stories are getting seen that much? Like,
Sure.
it's crazy.
Someone here wants to actually two people. How does a writer get considered for one of these gigs? How do writers get the opportunity to write episodes for the proposed log lines? How do you get access to submit their treatments ideas for these log lines?
I
No,
think she covered a little bit of that, but yeah.
yes, once you get the log line, it means that you've been hired, they are
Okay.
hiring you. They don't do like, oh, we put the log line and then everybody's pitching their idea. That's not how it works. The first step is to learn how to write, do a spec, first 10 episodes, and make sure that it actually is the right format and the right rhythm and all of the things that I've already mentioned, that your spec is good to go.
Okay.
And also, this is something that I do I do one-on-ones. If somebody wants to make sure, they can come to me or somebody that's already done it, to make sure that their script is ready, because I think people don't have a really good understanding of what that looks like. And this is why I added a bonus to my book. If you buy my book, I give you a link and you can download my script of the first 10 episode of The Blind Bride of the Scarred Mafia Boss. So you can see what that looks like, because people were asking, and there's no script of verticals out there. It's really hard to find a good one. So you do that, and then you go on, WhatsApp and LinkedIn, and you introduce yourself and you network. And I mean, the same way that you would get a job in others, but it's a little bit more of a direct contact, you
Okay.
know. For me, every time I see somebody in the vertical space, I send a note, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do. You want to get on a call? And most of the time they say yes. We get on a call, we introduce each other, and then we see if there's a possible collaboration.
Do you, someone wants to know, when you get hired, do they give you production constraints? For example, restrict the script to so many number of characters or particular locations, etc.
Yes, I said that earlier. Yeah, you get like how many, how many episode, how many pages, and the episode, the characters and the location, they're not going to specifically say, because this is across the board. You can't really have more than six characters
For the
part of
whole
the story.
story.
Yeah, you can have like extras, but most of the stories, and sometimes it's four, sometimes it's five, and locations is usually, it's a low budget. So I believe that writers should understand if I tell you the budget is 150,000 for 75 pages, that you should understand that that means five or six location, but also like sometimes location, if you have a house and there's a living room and a kitchen, that's one location, that's not two locations. And every writer out there should learn how to write for low budget. That when
That's
i
true.
when i when I talk to writers and I say, what's the budget on your script, and they have no idea, I'm like, how are you going to sell this?
Yeah,
Because
I
you have a producer, most producers, like, oh, what budget range you work in? And if you don't know where your script goes, like, I mean, to me, that I don't understand it.
yeah,
But
I get those scripts sometimes. I'll open it up and it's, 1876, 30,000 troops gather on a battlefield. And I'm like, oh, Jesus
yeah, yeah,
Christ,
the $1 million sentence,
Yeah, I'm like, come on. The other thing I was interested in, are you restricted at all with content? Even like you want to go into the horror space, for instance. Um, are you do you have to sort of keep in mind it cannot be R rated, or can it be R rated?
I
Can it
wanted to know about sex.
Right,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Can you do that? Because I'm assuming you can't do that in the first, but can you sort of, even in the romance, can you do that? Because it's sort of a subscription based model, but you also have to keep in mind people are watching this on the commuter train, or, all this stuff. Not that they censor stuff on planes. I've watched, like, I'm like, holy shit, Poor Things is on a plane. So, is that something you have to deal with, or is that not
Well,
issue.
so when you get your assignment, depending on who you're working with, the first thing is, the problematic theme. Some apps, they love the, sorry, but they love the drug rape, they love the
Right.
violence, they love the slapping, they love the, all of that. And I'm very vocal about this, that if you get asked, then it's your choice, but we need to fight for that. Like I was one of the show that I did for the same producer, I did The Blind Bride. The in a meeting, the producer went, "Oh, but maybe the mom could sell her virginity," and I was like, "Excuse
The
me."
mo- the mom could
Yes,
sell her
the
virginity.
virginity of the daughter. Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay, all
Like,
right, all
okay,
right. I just
this
needed to
is
clear
where
that up. Sounded like a plot hole to me, but all right.
I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And then I made the case, and they went. I suggested another storyline instead of that one, and they went with mine. But like literally, I would not do that. I would not do
Yeah.
that. And that's what you have to know. But so every app has a different level of spiciness. Like my drama is very, very steamy. But
Is there nudity in these?
no, not suggested, but some of them are quite, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised that there would be nudity in some of them. And then again, you have to decide how steamy, but that's a personal choice of what space. Like sometimes it does feel like, some of them feel like we're getting very close to soft porn. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah,
Right,
it's
sure.
like,
The
Sure.
Cinemax of verticals.
yeah,
Listen, I'm sure that it's
Oh,
something. It's
oh yeah.
only a matter of time until there's going to
Absolutely.
be
there's gonna
a
be one. Yeah, there's gonna be an
Damn
app.
it! Someone's
pornographic,
gonna steal this idea now. The Cinemax
That's
of
right.
Yes,
Like an
yes,
verticals.
Ramesh,
like an
Ramesh,
X-rated and
I
X-rated.
know.
You know something, Ramesh?
Yeah.
yes,
This is our opening.
yes,
Exactly. I
go
know.
for it.
The inside pitch presents.
There we go.
You
Uh-oh.
know.
Inside
Yes.
the
Exactly.
inside pitch.
Right.
I see Frank asked the question about, can you watch it horizontally? No,
Yeah.
the format is not, it's not like this. It's actually a real 916. It's edited, it's created in 916.
For
So
that.
you
Yeah.
can't turn it, otherwise you're gonna be like this.
Yeah.
But it's maybe we're older, we like to turn our phones, but it's proven that people do not like to turn the phone. They
It's weird
I
because
do.
if I
I
shoot
do.
video, I always go horizontal.
Me
yeah.
too.
When I shoot
But yeah,
video,
but
I'm
the
still
Gen Zs, they never do
yeah.
it.
It's
No.
I always so.
No, that's true. That's true.
Is violence that common in these things?
Yeah, actually, there was an article that came out, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, about domestic violence in these. And yeah, like I said, there's a lot of,
Oh, okay. I
yeah.
just saw that the Frank was Frank, my
That's
co-writer.
your Frank.
Yes,
Yes,
That's
your
Frank.
my
Yes,
Frank.
Frank.
hi, Frank.
Not my
That's your
Frank, but
Frank.
yeah.
Yes.
Hell of
Yes.
a
Oh,
guy.
he's your Frank now.
Yes, I know. Hell of a guy, really. So
Hell of a guy. Hell of a guy.
Yes.
Uh,
Well,
uh,
Quebec, Montreal.
yes.
but
This-
ultimately, you would get your marching orders from the producers, and you would have a very good understanding as to how spicy or how violent, or to the degree that any of those could go.
Yeah.
It seems. And then if you are writing a spec, again, the first 10 episodes, which we covered earlier, somebody asked the question, but if you're coming in late, you may just want to watch this again from the beginning, because Isabel was very thorough before. So the first 10 the first up to the paywall, the first 10 episodes are roughly 15 pages. Roughly, so 15 to 20 pages at like 1.5 to 2 pages per episode.
Yes. I see a lot of people. I know Bruce saying horizontal is the best to fill a large screen. Yes, and I've heard that Samsung and TV are now working on television that you'll be able to to turn. So I don't know how that's going to work, but
that's
we're
interesting.
entering into the future, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Maybe
I've seen computer screens that do that.
Oh, I actually, believe it or not, this
Yeah.
the I have an external monitor for my laptop, and I actually it is vertical
Yeah.
because that's when I
so
read and write, I need my whole page. So
yes, yes.
and I
It's
can draw
funny
it.
because you know something, when I read, I still like to read horizontally because my old eyes, I got to make that print a little bit bigger maybe.
Yeah.
So,
So
We
yeah.
won't hold it against you,
I
but
can
Thank
do
I
you.
that
bet
as
Gen
I
Thank you.
Zs
can do
and
that as
Thank
vertical
you.
because I blow up my, I have a 27-inch monitor that's vertical, so it's like at 150% when I'm reading it. But
so
yeah,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
can
and
there you
watch
go.
verticals on that.
I can. Yes, I
Yeah,
should.
and
I
also
know.
like a lot of people have tablets. A lot
Yeah.
of people, like it's so for me. I think I just saw like the word multi-format. I believe in the multi-format a lot. I believe it as an engine, an IP engine to create IPs. Of course, not with these these apps now that are buying everything. And that's why for me the future of vertical for me is not necessarily with these apps. I definitely want to go into the independent producing of verticals. I think that's where the real possibilities are, because if you develop, let's say you invest 200,000, you create an IP and it hits, and we're talking about millions of views, millions of, and you build a following. Let's say, imagine that Heated Rivalry was a vertical, right? I mean, something like this, it hits the fans, the fans online are very uh, enthusiastic when they love something, and that is the best proof to build an IP. Then then you can go and get more money. It
Right.
can be turned into other formats.
Right.
So I do believe in multi-format. I do believe that already now people are shooting in 8K like this and planning ahead to do two format, like a feature with a vertical series, and you build your following with the vertical series, and then you bring them to your film. I think anybody that's not considering this in the indie cinema world is sleeping on it, because trailers don't work for Gen Zs. Trailers don't work. You watch and I, honestly, they're not really working for me either these days. Like, I watch trailers, I'm like, eh, you
No.
know. But if you gave me the first 20 minutes of the movie, and I would be like, fuck, I want to see this, right? So, I think, and the everybody is a potential audience, but right now they're tapping in just the women soap opera. Mostly the audience is that, but we are all a potential audience. We just have to find the right story for each person.
If you independently produce, you mentioned your horror idea you have for the five, or and someone sort of it's related to that. How would you platform it? Would you sell it as a five property deal? Is that
No,
the
it's
sort
a
of the
five slate. Yeah, it's different. It's different format.
okay?
Different format. So it would be, so I'll just tell you, uh, in 2010, I had my platform in Quebec, and, I produced a murder mystery called Manigance, which was like an Agatha Christie in 2010, in 2011. The wave of popularity for these murder mysteries came later. It was before Knives Out, but we were one of the first one, and we were very successful. But so we had the money, we got the money from a web series fund in Canada. It was $130,000. But I came back, I left Asia. I left Asia to come back to make movies. I wasn't didn't want to make web series, but we got the money. And I was like, okay. So right away we did a multi-format. We wrote it in a way that it was a TV movie, a web series, and we also did a mini series because we had a distributor who knew how to sell to airplanes and motels. It's an ancillary fund, and you make money with this, so it's a way to sell. So we wrote it in a way that we had like a 90-minute TV movie, and we had 12 episodes of different length, because web series, you didn't have to be all the same. 12 episode of between 5 to 7 or 9 minutes, and then we had 4 episode of 22 minutes, and we planned it in the writing, and then we shot all of it, and some parts were not in all of it, but some part, like the miniseries was a little bit shorter, and we sold it. We sold it to television. We sold it to Yahoo at the time, who was big in web series. We had it on our platform, and we also sold it to all the airlines and stuff. And I eventually actually sold it to Warner Brothers in a pitch here to develop as a series. It didn't happen, but because we did the TV movie, we got the tax incentive, which web series were not allowed to, by shooting it as a TV movie and selling it to television. And we made a lot of money with that web series when people made no money with web series. And we got money to make another season, and we did that as well. We did VOD. We had actually a deal with DVDs. And so I know the potential of multi-format, because I turned something that was a $100,000 project, and ended up selling all the way to Hollywood, my first pitch in Hollywood. So I believe in the multi-format. I know it works. So the first thing that happened when somebody talked to me about the vertical, it was like, oh my God, finally the right format to do multi-format with business model. And so, to me, that is the future of vertical, not necessarily as a standalone, because these apps are making all the money, and let's be honest, the creators are not making much, and yes, the salaries are getting bigger. I just signed an agreement for 10K, so the salaries are going up, but I think as an independent producer, as an independent creator, you can start small, and you can scale up and build a following, build your audience, build your audience, and then when there's money, there's offers. So yeah.
Yep. Well said.
So that's the future of vertical. Where
That's the future, and the present is upon us, and this is the time, I guess, to start to feel it out. And by the way, especially for new writers, for new writers maybe who aren't so entrenched, ensconced in that old, formatting of screenwriting, people like me and Ramesh.
I have a perfect example. Ethan Miller is 22 years old. He took my master class, I think, in June, and his show came out on January 1st on Drama Box. It's called My Crush Thinks I'm a Boy, and it's a hit. And he's got, he had 4 million views on 4, and he's 22 years old. And
because it's like, don't be an old timer here. It's like, don't be caught up in, oh, well, I only want to do this. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, right. Good luck to you.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. Good luck. But here is some opportunity, and the potential of getting in on something early on. It certainly, I don't think, would hurt to give it a whirl, just to even see if it's a format that you can do, or that you enjoy doing. Yeah. Look, there are a lot of screenwriters, for example, who don't want to write stage plays, or don't want to write novels because it's not what they do. They don't even want to write a radio play, maybe, or they don't even want to write for TV. They just want to write for, okay, fine. But I think that people who are newer might be more open to something like this. And so I would say, for even those of you who are a little bit hesitant, it's something at least to consider and look into. I mean, look, imagine knowing nothing about verticals, taking a class in September, and then by January, you're already up and running on one of these apps with
the hit show and being hit up by all the producers and apps, and I mean it's really amazing.
Yeah, again, you use the word fast. So, this is a fast industry because they clearly need content and they need to keep it cranking. Look, in the old days, each studio would turn out maybe 300 films a year. Now, maybe all of Hollywood turns out 300 films a year. So, so the work is clearly,
yeah, if
shrinking.
that actually too.
If
yeah.
that. So,
yeah.
So
and now Real Short alone is making 300 vertical series a year.
Just that one app, which is, insane, I think. So
and anywhere in the world, you can be anywhere in the world, and write vertical series for, there are producers and apps all over. I mean, it's a very international market.
It really does feel a lot like the birth of Hollywood, going back. But I'm serious about this, right? Like in so many ways, like way back. This is going to be a long history lesson, but way back, like 100 years ago, or even a little bit more. Once the studios were up and running here, they were literally desperate for material, and they were putting ads in newspapers all around the country. Send us your scripts.
Yeah.
Nobody cared if you were living here. You didn't have to live here. You could be a housewife in Wisconsin, and writing scripts and sending them out, to somebody at one of the old studios, and and having your movie made. It, of course, eventually became like a great big industry but it's like this now, right now, this is small. This is the time, because eventually shit's going to happen like it always does, and it's going to end up being much more commercialized. It's going to be much more.
The WGA is going to come in, and I'm sure a lot of WGA writers here, but once the WGA comes in,
right,
it's going to change a lot of
things, Yes, exactly right. And so it's like getting in on the ground floor now, and then maybe if you are in, then maybe that's your way to eventually get into the WGA, because if these places become signatories and then you're already in the system and they want to use you, then now, then you got to join the WGA.
Well, I'll tell you also, like, when now there's going to be a lot of writers' room, like I'm talking about to people, I want to become a showrunner for verticals, like there are opportunities. I would never be considered to run a writer's room in television now, so, and now it's a discussion that is, I would say I'm probably less than 6 months away from being a showrunner on a vertical series. So this is, once I have the showrunner experience, once I've run shows, if I can run enough shows and enough writers' room, then it's going to be a lot easier for me when I sell my TV show to say, hey, I have this experience. I've done it. And this opportunity would never be available to me if this didn't exist, So right now there are opportunities that will also never come again. It's not going to last long. Things are moving fast. It's already, the competition is, it's getting there because a lot of people are coming in, also because I'm promoting the hell out of vertical. So I'm also creating my competition, and and also like a wave of writers that are coming in. But at the same time, surviving as a writer and making money as a professional writer is the thing that changed my life. And I'm trying to help as many people as I can to do the same. And becoming a professional writer, making money as a writer is a huge step in your career. Yes, we all want to have Tarantino's career, but that reality is that careers are usually made by increments. And
maybe you become the Tarantino of verticals. You know,
Yeah.
there's always that opportunity. It's funny because, we almost sound like, like we're some kind of snake oil salesman, right? We're like, you got to get it on the ground floor, but nobody's asking you for any money here. I mean, obviously, and this is just about looking at a potentially new and different opportunity. And I think it's a lot more exciting than the Christmas movie craze, which you addressed earlier.
Yeah.
Because I think, yes, like I do know a lot of writers who managed to get Christmas movies made when they couldn't get anything else made because that market was just more open to new writers, for whatever reasons.
I mean, that's exactly what happened to me in, 4 years ago.
Right.
I never been produced. I was trying to do horror stuff and I had an opportunity and I took it and I ended up with 5 movies made in 18 months. And to be honest, like that changes everything. When I want to get a meeting with anyone, I'm produced, being produced changes everything, whatever it is. And, the thing is like, it does, people go, oh, well, but the verticals are not that great. People are not going to watch them. They're just going to see that you're produced.
Well,
and
that's
you can
true.
do the job and that somebody paid you to write. Literally, I mean, you know how hard it is to convince someone to watch your film?
Impossible. But it's just as hard to get somebody to watch your film as it is
to read your script.
Get them to read your script.
Exactly.
No different. I mean, Ramesh and I are doing this interview with you. We didn't even watch your goddamn vertical.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Exactly.
but
you read my book, and Ramesh, I need to send you one.
Okay.
Yes. And it's
let's grab coffee or lunch or something
absolutely.
soon.
Yeah, let's
Seriously.
do it.
Isabel, you are open-minded, and I think that's so important. I think if there's anything that's more important right now for writers, it's to be open-minded and to look at opportunities. Look, sure, if you're some kind of established screenwriter, and you're making $500,000 when you sell a spec script, okay, maybe writing verticals isn't for you. But for people who haven't broken in and maybe haven't had a lot of success, and guess what? Everybody's like, verticals suck. Well, then a lot of you will be perfect for this. Because, I mean,
have you
let's
seen
be honest.
Have you
let's
seen
be,
the
yeah, I know.
on our page?
Yeah, come on, guys. Let's be honest here. It's not like you're all David Mamet, for God's sakes. So maybe this is the perfect place for you to be.
And I have to tell you, Christopher, when you get to know success, when I did my films got produced, it puts you in a different place. Like right now, I have to say, like the last year has been really great. Like it's the book, the shows. My show was #1. My show's like top 30 of the verticals of 2025. Like there's a thing, now we share all the success on social media. And I have to tell you, I have never had so much action on my feature work than I have right now. I can't announce anything yet, but like I have so many things going on the feature side and television side because people see I'm active, I'm working, I'm not, I'm always positive.
You're knowledgeable.
And people can see, okay, she's a pro. And honestly, like you can turn anything like this into something bigger. And this is exactly what I'm doing. But, it's not because you do one thing that you can't do another. I did the Christmas movies and I'm still doing Christmas movies. And now I'm doing this. But, like, it's not the end of the road. It's just a way to get produced and keep writing. I've written 20 scripts in the last 5 years, and I've had 8 of them produced. So like, it's like, I mean, and that counts for something. Mm-hmm. And you can say, oh, there were Christmas movies. Oh, there were verticals. But you know what? Where are your 8 movies produced? Where
Oh yeah, but it's true though. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Well,
like,
somebody put a comment to say like, "Oh, they're shit." Well, okay, where are your productions, right?
but look, you know, I mean, there's obviously a lot of truth to that. For me, I never really care about quality per se. You know, it's like if somebody got their project made, if somebody got paid, it's in this business is a miracle.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. And so, you know, that's just like a lot of the bitter writer, you know, that's the guy. I'm being sexist here, but you know,
Yes.
that's the person who's never sold anything or hasn't had any success, and they go, oh well, you know, I mean, any schmuck can write
Yeah, and I think
verticals.
that's the
Then
problem.
go ahead and do it,
You
because it
should,
sounds pretty hard to me.
It's hard. It's not that easy.
No, I
because
can
when
tell
I
it's
have
not.
friends of mine who be like, oh, I saw the, you know, it's a film that's getting great reviews, and I saw it, it's a piece of shit, and I'm like, well, have you written something as good?
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
By the way, Ramesh can be a big talker now that his film's getting all these great reviews.
Oh please, no. It's like,
now
and
he's a big talker.
I wrote that for shits and giggles. I did.
Yeah.
Frank and I wrote that for shits and giggles.
And
We
there you
just-
go, right?
He just said, "Hey, you want to write this?" I'm like, "Sure," and then we wrote it.
Right. So again, it's like it's definitely be open-minded to things. And again, like I'm saying this, and you know, this is like I would never practice what I preach. Just so you know, I'm like such a hypocrite, and you know, hate any kind of change. But you know, something like I have a pretty sweet job anyway. So, but if you know you're trying to make money as a writer, give this a whirl, you know. And you know, it's like a lot of people say, well, you know, like my features aren't selling, maybe I'll write a novel, maybe I'll try a pilot. Well, maybe try your hand at this. I would say get Isabel's book, and because no, but you know, yeah, but look, yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, like I've looked at the book, and I'm like, wow, like there's just the book has got a lot of information in it, and it really does move as quickly as I think these verticals do. There's so much stuff in there, even stuff like the titles, you know, which I thought was very interesting.
Yes. Funny
you know,
title.
sort of like why these shows are titled the way they are, and you know, something. Read the book to find out. But it is there's a lot to think about. There's a really big learning curve.
Yes,
I
and
would
I also cover how to break in and how to get, you know, like it covers the screenwriting part, but it also covers the how to get a job and how you know, how to talk about, you know, to a producer, and what the process will be like, a lot of the things that we talked about today. So I mean, if somebody thinks about maybe doing vertical, I think the first step is definitely the book. Or I also have a free webinar that's like a little bit less than an hour, where I do an overview of what that's like. So, and of course, if you see that and you read the book and you think, okay, it's not for me, it's not for you, and that's okay. But I think it's worth considering, because it could change your career. You know, you could start making money and you could start being produced, and who knows where this is going to take us. And I think that's the part that we're all excited about. Where is this going to take us? Because we want to keep telling stories. And as we see, you know, Hollywood is it's not doing so well, you know.
Well, I don't like to say that, but
Well, you're doing well in your tower, but you know, we don't have access to your tower.
it's a tough landscape. Yes, it's definitely a landscape. So so if there aren't any final questions, so where can people find you, Isabel?
Okay, so IsabelDrean.com is my website. 21dayscreenplay.com is where you can find a few free webinars and my training. I have a masterclass, a 4-hour masterclass on how to write vertical series in 10 days. I also hold sometimes an incubator. We just started this yesterday, the new one. I don't know when is the next one, so there's a wait list. And this is where during 10 days I take you from an idea, I take you through the whole process, and by the end you have a really good spec and an outline, and you can start approaching producers. I'm not sure when the next one will be, but the book really takes you through it. I also do consulting, Isabel Drean at gmail.com, and on social media at Isabel Drean, pretty much on linked to every platform, but I think X and Threads. But
And by the way, on the Inside Pitch, she's a
I
member
am
of the
in the
Inside Pitch.
Exactly.
I've been a member for a long time. Yes.
So look for her there.
And
thank
also
you.
on WhatsApp. So if you want to join the hub, the vertical WhatsApp group, just email me isabeldrean@gmail.com, and I'll
The hub is a great group, by the way. I don't keep up with it because sometimes I like open it up. I'm like, okay, there's just way too many numbers in here,
well,
But
there's multiple hubs, there's
right,
hubs
but I've
for
met some wonderful people through there.
yeah, we have financiers, we
Like
have
Allison, and
producers.
it's
Yeah.
just I've met some great people there, and
We're
some of
gonna
them
have
I've.
to do. We're gonna have to do another one of these because I don't know what the hell a hub is either.
Yes,
Oh,
So.
it's
a
good, and
collective
I've actually had
manufacturer.
people I've met from the hub come over
Yes,
for parties and stuff
absolutely.
like
Well,
that.
Oh my God, there's so much,
you'll have to come to our next party. I do parties at my house with the
Sure.
hub.
so much stuff to learn.
I'm
Yeah.
everywhere, Christopher. I'm everywhere.
I'm nearing retirement, so like this is all. Come on, but really, this has been very informative. I definitely feel like I know a lot more now than I did when we started at 10 a.m. today.
Good.
So thank you so much, Isabel, for your
Thank you
time.
for having me.
Mr. Ramesh and all the tippers who tuned in today, thank you all. We appreciate you. By the way,
for all
Ramesh,
the kind words. By the way, I saw all the really nice words. So thank you.
all the
everyone.
love that you're getting. Yes. You're getting a lot of love.
Yes.
Ramesh, you and we owe the group another open house.
Yes, we'll do one.
Right. So we're going to do one let's say within the month, we'll do another open house. So Ramesh and I will figure out the date, and then we'll send out the invitations. And remember, by the way, if you're not a member of the Inside Pitch, if you're just watching this through
join us
YouTube, you can come and join us. Just do a search for the Inside Pitch, and there's a very brief question. It says, "How did you learn about the Inside Pitch?" And that is your only barrier to entry. We have an incredibly low, very, very low barrier to enter the group. But what's amazing is, and this is true, Ramesh, let's out of every 10 people who want to come into the Inside Pitch, we only average about 2 of those 10 actually answer the question.
Oh, I know. I always see that. It's incredible. I'm like,
which means I turn away probably 80%. The reason that our group is so small, maybe about 16,000 people, is because about 80%, for whatever reason, don't answer the question. And it's like it's a softball question. It's just for me to determine that you're not a bot, or something like that. And like that's it. But
that I run a Buy Nothing group on the WhatsApp as well, and on Facebook as well. And I think sometimes when people click, they don't see that question pop.
So
really big.
They may not.
It really sucks.
It really does.
Not to self-promote our stuff, but even though we may only have around 16,000, and there are screenwriting groups that have
100,000,
we provide way more information.
We blow those groups away.
Group, it's the best.
Come on, who brings Isabel? Who brings Isabel for 2 full hours and for free?
Right, exactly. That's the other thing too. For free, we don't charge anything. I mean, we don't charge
anything. I have to tell you, that talk with McQuarrie was the best talk on screenwriting I have ever seen.
And I had the worst hair for it. The worst.
And I had no lighting.
It's the one.
But we've had him, we've had Shane, we've had Jeb Stewart, we've had Scott Rosenberg, Kira, Meg LaFoe. We've had all these people for free.
Isabel is now added to the list. And by the way, I suspect this will be very popular.
Yes,
Well,
I
thank you
think
so
verticals will
much.
be
I feel
very,
it's
very
an
popular.
honor, to be honest. It's an honor.
It's great. Well,
sure.
I'm really glad that we finally got to meet at the party and talk here. Maybe there's a part 2 of this interview in the future. So we'll see. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you for our next live session to be announced.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Aaron.
Are we done?